G'day guys, this is Tyr, and welcome back to another Fallout 76 build showcase. This will be my final Bloodied build that I will be showing off, and I have saved the best for last. This is Raynor, the Operative, an incredibly powerful min-max Bloodied stealth commando build. This is the absolute pinnacle for DPS output in the entire game, hands down, without question. With this build I am able to compete with the best of the best and kill the endgame boss, the Scorchbeast Queen, completely solo in under 35 seconds. Completely alone. That clip will be playing in the background, and if that doesn't get you excited to try this build out for yourself, then I don't know what will, honestly. This is an absolute glass cannon powerhouse of a build, and if you like stealth and ranged weapons, then this is the best option for you. Now I do have to mention that although it is a glass cannon, that means it's very susceptible to damage. Well, this is by design. We are min-maxing and going all out for damage output and stealth instead of damage resistance. Sadly, that is a luxury we must sacrifice so that we may deal out insane amounts of damage. And to do that, we do have to sacrifice some survivability. But don't worry, because of the fact we are so focused on stealth and being hidden from the enemy, then our defenses don't technically actually matter. Think of it this way. Since we are so great at stealth, then in turn we will never become detected and therefore never need to tank any damage, because we will never actually be shot at. Similar to my Bloodied Sneak Rifleman build, which will be linked in the top right. It's basically an alternate version of this build, but more focused on per shot damage with single fire weapons instead of sustained damage per second with automatic weapons. Anyway, back on track. You all know the drill by now. The link to follow this build via the Nukes and Dragons website is linked down below, as well as a playlist to all of my other builds. I highly recommend checking out both of those after you've watched this video in its entirety. Now I do have to mention here and give credit where credit is due, this build was largely inspired by the original genius behind the playstyle, Captain Noob, so shout out to Cap. However, I have basically taken his concept and geared it even further and made it more specifically min-maxed for damage output, but without further ado, let's get straight into it. Sadly, there will be no backstory with this character build as I feel it's not necessary. It is the same character as my Halla build that I mentioned previously. I've just renamed it for the purposes of this video and redone it for the purposes of its new role to play, which is taking out endgame bosses such as the Scorchbeast Queen. So yeah, I'm sorry if you are looking forward to hearing a backstory, I just didn't really think it was necessary. Anyway, moving on. So with all builds we'll be starting off with the special stats at base value. This is what you'll need to get my chosen perks. We'll be having 2 strength, 15 perception, 3 endurance, 3 charisma, 3 intelligence, 15 agility, and 15 luck. Now feel free to pause right now and take a screenshot of this. This is what you'll be needing for the baseline start. But if you follow this guide to the letter and pick the correct mutations and wear the right armor, then your special stats will be modified to be 9 strength, 37 perception, 3 endurance, 19 charisma, 14 intelligence, 37 agility, and 31 luck. Now a large majority of these bonuses are due to unyielding armor, but I will touch on that later. All of these boosts are a combination of the mutations, armor, and the build itself. Now this is a VATS orientated stealth commando build after all. This means that above all else we will place our main 3 special stats as a priority, these being perception, agility, and luck. Our build needs these 3 to be as high as possible. The others don't really matter all too much. The reason for this being is that the higher our perception means the greater VATS accuracy we have, the higher our agility means the greater our stealth potential is and also how long we can be in use of VATS, and the higher our luck equals the more often we will be able to deal critical hits in VATS, which is amazing. It all synchronizes together perfectly to make one badass killing machine. Now onto the perk cards for this build. Now as a reminder, this is a VATS orientated stealth commando that wants to pump out as many critical hits for as much damage output as humanly possible, allowing us to become the best damage per second build in the game. Let's get into the perks. On screen right now is the perk loadout. Feel free to take a screenshot of it, but I will be going in depth over my choices in detail in just a moment. For our strength special stat, we specifically have 2 points here so that we can equip the bandolier perk. This is the one and only weight reduction perk in the game that you should need as a commando. Carrying thousands and thousands of rounds of ammo for your automatic weapons does get tiresome. This perk is a godsend for this build. It's all we need for strength. In perception, we will be taking all 3 ranks of commando to increase our damage further, obviously. On top of this, we'll be taking max rank of concentrated fire to ensure that we never miss a shot in VATS. You know, excluding the first 2 shots it may take to get concentrated fire to 95% VATS hit chance. Also, the bonus 3% damage that it does give us won't be turned down either. Next we'll be taking Tank Killer for a 9% chance to stagger our enemy on every shot we shoot, and a massive 36% armor penetration. This is amazing for our automatic weapons. Now in the grand scheme of things, this is all you should need in Perception. However, when I am trying to go for the fastest time possible on the Queen, I found it to be a bit better to just have rank 1 concentrated fire just so we can target the head, and then having rank 2 ground pounder so that we can reload our automatic weapons just a little bit faster. It helps with the time, so apart from that, that's all you'll need for Perception. Next is Endurance, and as a lot of you know, the mysterious health regen bug no longer works for those perks like Life Giver, so in that case there is no real reason to have anything that would have applied that. Also, since we are a stealth commando with so much emphasis on being hidden, there's no real reason to waste any points on any defensive perks, since they are not needed if we will never be shot at to begin with, which leads me to my choice here. Personally, I have opted in to take max rank of Revenant. This will give us an extra 50% damage boost for 2 whole minutes if we do get down. And while this will rarely happen naturally, we are so squishy, so I like to use it for big fights like the Scorchbeast Queen and Wendigo Colossus. I get downed on purpose to have my buddy then revive me, or if I'm solo I wear some life-saving armor temporarily to get this perk to proc, then switch back to my unyielding armor. It's worth it in my opinion. And the remaining point of Endurance is used up with just rank 1 of Rejuvenated. This is purely to help our AP refresh speed to be as fast as possible, as it's not that hard to be carrying some purified water around in the wasteland to stay hydrated to keep this active. But yes, Endurance is one of the weirdest special trees in this build, where you can pick what you want, but this is my recommendation. Additionally, if you don't want to run that for Endurance, it is beneficial to just run rank 1 of Radical for your carry weight. I don't know, some people like to do that, not me personally since it doesn't really benefit us. Or additionally, if we are fighting the Scorchbeast Queen and you find yourself getting downed by her Sonic Blast, you can just pop in rank 3 of Fireproof, or any combination of what I've just mentioned. Now onto Charisma. The beauty of this build is it doesn't matter if we are solo or in a team as we stand with these perks set up. It kicks ass either way. We are going to be filling up our 3 spots of Charisma by taking max rank of Tenderizer. This little perk is amazing because it is multiplicative instead of additive, which basically means the 7% damage bonus it does offer us for our consecutive shots is more along the lines of 12%, so it's very worth it in my books. Additionally, if you do want to min-max further for like AP regen, it is beneficial to pop in Lone Wanderer, or if you're on a team, it is good to have a combination of Tenderizer and then Strange in Numbers. Although I find this 2 alternative routes to not be very practical, since we are going all out on damage, it's best to just have rank 3 of Tenderizer. But yeah, that's up to you. Next up, this is a Bloodied build after all, in which we will not be using any explosive weapons, so you'll probably notice we don't have Demolition Expert, but in any case we absolutely need max rank of Nerd Rage in Intelligence, granting us a huge 20% bonus damage increase and a 15% faster AP regen while below 20% health. This is just amazing, and no, I will not be displaying alternative styles of play if you are not a Bloodied build. This is purely min-maxing towards being Bloodied, which offers the most damage per second possible. Again, this is the sole purpose of this build. Nerd Rage is amazing because it synchronizes with our Bloodied legendary effect and our adrenal reaction mutation, which I'll get to later. But yeah, definitely pick up rank 3 of Nerd Rage in Intelligence. Next is probably our most important skill tree, Agility. In here we'll be taking all of the sneak perks to give us the most beneficial sneak potential possible. We will be taking the max rank of the sneak perk to make us 75% harder to detect, max rank of the covert operative perk to give us a 2.5 times damage multiplier for our successful sneak shots. Then we will be taking our escape artist perk for the cherry on top. Now the remaining points could be spent a few different ways, but the first 3 cards are always the same, that being these 3. For example, one avenue could be to simply just have max rank of Adrenaline and Action Boy. This is a terrific combo for faster AP regen and to give us a massive damage increase per kill. We get obviously a maximum of 60% damage increase once we get 6 or more enemies killed. Another avenue could be to keep on max rank of Adrenaline, but replace Action Boy with a max rank of Mr. Sandman for an extra 50% damage boost to your sneak attacks while it is nighttime. And then the remaining point goes into Gun Fu to give us the VAT swap ability for slightly more damage per VATS kill. Personally, I prefer the first avenue when I'm just playing the game normally, and I choose to have the second avenue on when I'm fighting the Scorchbeast Queen at nighttime. But it's a bit of room to play around with your perks here, it's all up to you. And finally, in luck, we will be firstly taking max rank of Bloody Mess to maximise our damage output further by 15%. Then max rank of Better Criticals to make our critical shots in VATS even more potent, with 40% extra damage behind them. We will then take max rank of 4-Leaf Clover to give us a massive chance to refill our critical meter on every shot we land on an enemy. This is especially powerful on tanky enemies like the endgame bosses, because more shots equal more critical chances to be filled up. Next up, we'll be taking max rank of Critical Savvy so that when we do use our critical shot, it only uses 55% of our meter, meaning more criticals for us to pump out. And for the remaining 3 points, we will be taking rank 1 of Quick Hands to give us a 6% chance to reload instantly, which is very useful for when you're fighting the Scorchbeast Queen in a timed run. However, instead of this, you could use either rank 1 of Tormentor or rank 1 of the Grim Reaper Sprint perk for when you are fighting things that are not the Scorchbeast Queen in regular play. It's really up to you, but this build is primarily geared for taking out the endgame bosses. So, having these perks that are activated on killing enemies might not be the best thing to have active, since they are not too beneficial for us, since we will only be killing one tanky enemy, that being the endgame bosses, 90% of the time at least. Anyways, finally, max rank of Starch Genes to keep our chosen mutations is absolutely needed, which are the following. And those mutations for this build are carefully thought out to synergize with the build and playstyle itself. The negatives here are not negatives at all, they don't matter. We don't care about minuses to strength or anything else that these mutations give us as a negative. Doesn't matter, doesn't affect us. So just thought I'd make that crystal clear. The mutations we have chosen are Adrenal Reaction to give us even more extra damage at low health, Bird Bones for the bonus agility in VATS, plus the reduced forward speed doesn't hurt either, Chameleon in case for whatever reason we decide to find ourselves naked, we'll then be invisible, doesn't matter, Eagle Eyes for a further critical damage increase of 25% and a bonus to Perception by 4, Herbivore is chosen on this build because home-cooked meals that are of the fruit and vegetable category increase our critical hit damage, which is insanely beneficial for this build. Meat does not offer anything for this build, so yeah, this is the only build where I would actually recommend using Herbivore. Marsupial for increased carry weight and jump height, kind of a staple of every build. Plague Walker because, sure, why not, it has no negatives and offers a small amount of area of effect damage if you do ever accidentally get a disease. Then finally, Speed Demon for increased reload and movement speed. Can't say no to that. Now that mutations are out of the way, let's talk weapons. We are a Commando build, that means we use automatic rifles, like handmaids, fixers, and combat rifles, etc. And as I mentioned near the start, we would prefer not to use any explosive weapons of any sort, or energy weapons for that matter, since their damage calculations are a bit fucked up, so we are mainly aiming for automatic ballistic rifles. Ideally, we would want to grab a Fixer, because this weapon grants you a bonus sneak stat that does stack with everything else. It's fucking amazing, and the legendary effects we want to aim for every weapon that we do come across. In an ideal world, we would want to have the 3-star prefixes of Bloodied, 25% faster fire rate and 25% less AP cost. A Fixer with these 3 legendary effects is absolutely the best endgame weapon in the game for this build hands down. Now I know this may be hard to get and you may not have this at your disposal, but honestly you can use any automatic rifle that is bloodied with this build. A bloodied automatic pipe rifle would still be able to kill all non-boss enemies in a matter of 2 bullets, maybe even 1 with this build. But that Fixer is your ideal weapon, so work towards getting that. And use whatever you can in the meantime. Now the reason we want these effects are obviously Bloodied give us a massive bonus of 100% damage increase when we are at low health, which also synergizes with all of our other stuff. The 25% faster fire rate secondary legendary effect increases our damage per second by literally 25%, meaning we do the same amount of damage per shot, just doing it a fuck ton more quickly than we would do without this legendary effect. And finally, we want to aim for also having the 25% less AP cost 3rd star effect, for the reason being, we are able to spend a lot longer time in VATS targeting the same enemy, and if modified correctly with the correct weapon attachments, as you can see here in the background, when we are shooting in VATS we use up almost no AP per shot. It's very powerful, and these are the attachments I use on the Fixer, personally, if you'd like to achieve this as well. Now finally, let's discuss our armor situation. We want the armor that gives us the most stealth potential possible, and I've already gone over how our stealth is unaffected by armor weight, type and classification, among other things, but it is affected by armors that are able to use the shadowed modification. This is very important. For example, this is my armor, a full set of leather armor with the shadowed modification. This allows us to be more sneaky. this shadowed modification can only be applied to leather, combat, metal, scout, and robot, to my knowledge. So you can mix and match any of these armor types, just make sure you can apply the shadowed upgrade to it. Finally, in terms of legendary effects, we absolutely need all of the armor to be unyielding. With every piece being so, we gain insane amounts of special stats, as mentioned at the start of the video, increasing all aspects of this build even further. And ideally, we want all of the pieces to have the 3rd star legendary effect to have the faster AP refresh speed legendary effect, to basically maintain the time we can use VATS as much as possible. And I know you're all wondering about the 2nd star prefix, which reads become harder to detect, and no, this does not stack unfortunately, you only require 1 armor piece to have this effect. I just have it on all armor pieces because it is visually appealing to me. But anyways, yes, that is the armor and weapons section done for this build. Again, I will reiterate, this build is mainly used for taking down the endgame bosses of Fallout 76, that being the Scorchbeast Queen, the Imposter Sheepscorch, and Earl Williams, the new Wendigo Colossus boss. It's amazing at doing so. It is a bloodied, low health, VATS orientated stealth commando that pumps out as many critical hits as possible over a sustained period. As long as you're stealth and hidden, you should never die. You should also be able to kill every non-boss enemy in the game within 1 to 3 shots, once you are fully set up and kitted out like I am. It's an amazing build and I hope you all enjoy it. Thank you all so much for watching. A massive thank you to my channel supporters and harbingers. If you'd like to go the extra mile by supporting the channel and supporting what I do here, then there is a link to do so down below in the description, as well as a link to my social medias and the Discord group if you'd be interested in joining. If you're new here, please drop a like and maybe even subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. I've been Tyr, and I'll catch you in the next one. Welcome to Valhalla.